You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is Walter Dods, retired CEO of First Hawaiian Bank and the current chairman of the board for BancWest Corporation and First Hawaiian Bank.
So I know that you've done many types of charitable types of work. Are there any examples or stories that maybe you can share of how when you helped even in the charity, then for some reason or another, maybe indirectly, the business seemed to expand?
Yeah, there have been many drives I've been involved in. I was fortunate enough to be the chairman who built the new blood bank. We built the Mamiya Theater on St. Louis campus. We've done the new building at Palama Settlement. And people that I got involved in those campaigns ended up becoming friends and ended up transferring their business to the bank, sometimes in the millions and millions of dollars, unsolicited, but because they saw the dedication of my people and myself to community service, we ended up making the bank richer for it as well.
So do you think that you could actually spend almost all of your time in the community and then your business would still improve?
No. Your business is very important. Don't lose sight. There are occasions over the years where I saw a person get so caught up in it that they let their business go down the tubes. You can't do that. You have to have a balance, and you have to understand there are times when you can spend more time at something when your organization is at the right maturity and you have a good management team to run it, and then the management wants to share you with a larger community. And there are other times when you have to focus. I'm going a complete circle, as you know. Now I'm going the opposite way. I've always wanted to get involved in small business, and my son and I have just bought Easy Music Company a few months ago. So we're there, and I asked my son what role I could play, and he says, well, Dad, I'll be chairman, president, vice president, and treasurer, and you can be assistant secretary. So I'm assistant secretary of Easy Music, and he's allowed me to wash the windows, and I'm working my way up to the sales floor. Maybe he'll let me sell a guitar or two along the way.
Well, let's talk about that. What is it like working with your son?
I love it. I have 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter. My youngest is a senior at SC this year. My third son was an investment banker on Wall Street, and he unfortunately was there at 911 coming out of the subway station onto the World Trade Center property when the building was on fire. He thought it was a fire. He ran toward the second building. When the plane hit the second building, make a long story short, he had a pretty tough time, and after that he wanted to come back home, had it with New York. And he did come back home and wanted to drop out of business for a while, so he taught school for 3 years. He taught economics and Hawaiian history. And then this past summer he said he wanted to get back into the community and start a small business. So we talked about it. He ended up starting this business, and we have a great time. At night he comes home, talks about what happened during the day, and we chat. Sometimes I can help him. Sometimes he thinks I'm full of it. But we're very much enjoying the experience together.
So what did that learning, what kind of learning experience did you get out of that, having your son right in the thick of 911 and things could have actually gone the wrong way?
Yeah, it was a close call. We didn't know for 8 hours or so what had happened to him. Of course, you learn never to take for even one day for granted your family and love, and to spend time with them and to talk to them. I talk to my 4 kids virtually every day. We call each other, even if it's for 1 minute on a cell phone. We're always talking. Last night, talked to my daughter about the Super Bowl coming up at that time, and we had a great chat about that. But we're always talking and communicating, and I didn't spend much time talking about that in business, but communication is the other big thing, being able to talk all the time. There's no such thing in business as over-communication. Every week at the bank, I had the senior management team weekly meet, but on the Friday morning we had the top 50 people, and we'd go around the table talking, not to make any major decisions, but so that everybody in the bank knew what everybody else in the bank was working on. And that's where I believe communication plays a major role. And when you do that, everybody feels like they're part of the team, and it's not some secret little society going on, and it does wonderful things. Sorry to wander off.
No, but when you do that, we'll stay on that subject. When you do that, are you finding that people start to cooperate more or become more accountable?
Absolutely, both. And they also see what other people are doing and what they can learn from. It's very, very interesting. And after a while, as a manager, you see who contributes and who doesn't contribute. And I used to say from time to time, if you're not willing to contribute, don't come to the meetings, because we want to learn from each other. We're not passing grades and scores or criticizing, but we can't help you if we don't know what the problems are. And so I find that is so important. And if I've learned anything in my entire career, it's that, there's no such thing as over-communication.
So is that to just keep people, some people were feeling shame to say something, or they just don't want to talk? Or how can you be in a leadership position and not express yourself?
I think you bring a very important point up, and one that I talk about a lot, and that's quote-unquote the local culture. And people hear me talking about local this and local that. Let me make it very clear what I mean by local. By local, I mean understanding the host culture and respecting the host culture. You can be from anywhere and be local. But one of the bad parts about being local and having been brought up local is that we were taught in school, at least our generation, that to raise your hand in front of the class and to speak out was to make A. You didn't do that. You stayed in the background. You didn't want to show off because that was a bad quality. That's the way we were brought up. That really hurts local kids in business and in society. You have to speak up. You have to communicate. And I work all the time at doing this with especially locals who haven't learned. On the mainland, the young kids read the New York Times at the breakfast table. The Hawaii kids do not. And so they are at a disadvantage. And so that's something that I work on and will work on to the day I die, trying to get people to understand there's no embarrassment in communicating and passing your thoughts on. So I'm very proud that our company, the entire management team, is either from here or came here, loved it, adopted our cultures, and continued on.
Thanks for joining us today on Greater Good Radio. For more information or a transcript of today's show, please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. This is your host, Evan Leong and Carrie Leong, saying please join us next time for another episode of Greater Good Radio, Hawaii.